Carl and Damon here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short. It's the big question where we just throw out a random question that one of us has decided and talk it through. This is unscripted. We have not talked or thought about it much beforehand. We're just going to throw it out, one of our ideas, and see what we come up with. And this one's very simple. You've seen the title. What's the best Sonic the Hedgehog game? Now, this is coming from the fact that between the two of us, I would say we've certainly played every single original 2D Sonic game. So we're talking Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic 4. Did you play Sonic 4 Episode 1 and 2?
Yep.
I played that as well, but also they're moving into 3D areas. Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic R on the Sega Saturn. What was the Sonic game they did where it was the collection of Sonic games, but there was a world, it was on the Saturn, a world you could enter that was the first time Sonic was in 3D.
Yeah.
What was that called? Fuck. It was Sonic Jam? Was it Sonic Jam?
Yeah, Sonic Jam, yeah.
Sonic, there was the isometric 2D, 3D one called Sonic Kirby, not Kirby's Island. Like, do you remember that one? Like, it was like an isometric platform. Sonic, what was that one called? Bloody hell, you can see this unscripted. Sonic, do you know what I mean? Like, it was like, think Marble Madness. Do you remember Marble Madness? It looked like that, but you were going around collecting the little blue things and then dropping them off, whatever that was called. I can't remember what it was called.
There's so many Sonic games. It's like,
of course, hence the reason. There are some still I haven't played. A lot of the Sonic games that appeared on Nintendo consoles.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So it is best Sonic games of our sort of played. But I also played some of the later ones. I played the 2006 Sonic the Hedgehog game. What is routinely considered to be the worst Sonic game ever made. I couldn't believe it when I died. I just never forget racing along, hitting a wall and dying and being like, wait, he dies if he hits a wall? This is Sonic! How can you die when you hit a wall? That's insane. Insane. Sonic Unleashed. Do you ever play Sonic Unleashed?
Yes.
That's the one where he turns into a werehog. Gets a lot of hate. I didn't mind that. I didn't love it. I didn't mind it.
It's okay, yeah.
The Sonic game, the modern one, Sonic Generations. The one that used 2D and 3D Sonic, which is amazing. Probably up there as one of my favourite Sonic games. And there's one I'm playing at the moment, which is an older Sonic game re-released, but I can't quite remember what it is. But yeah, basically, as they come to us, it's not just saying why this is our favourite game. The end video.
No, yeah.
I kind of want to follow up and explain as to why I think it is. So, on a count of three. We're going to, 3, 2, 1, go, yeah? When it gets to go, we're both going to say out loud what we think is the best Sonic game, right? And see if we agree.
It should be the same one.
3, 2, 1, go. Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yeah.
Sonic 2.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, Sonic 2. There you go. It is an agreeable on it. I'm not surprised about that. I've always thought that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the best one. And I love Sonic 1. I really, really do.
Yeah.
But where Sonic... And I'd actually argue there's some zones in Sonic 1 that I think are more... I love the Marble Zone. The second zone after Green Hill. I think that's a really well-designed one. I think the water levels in Sonic 1 is better... not Aquatic Zone. It's like a caves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's better than Sonic 2's water-based levels. But Sonic 2 was Chemical Plant Zone, which is incredible.
Yeah,
it's also got the incredible Wing Fortress Zone.
Yes. Oh yeah.
But what Sonic 2 really did better for me, what it did better, it did the rule of a sequel. Bigger, bolder, better. Everything. And including, whereas Sonic the Hedgehog 1 has a pants end boss. Even though Scrap Brain Zone is a cool one to go through, its final boss and the moving up down pillars just did nothing for me.
No.
But Sonic 2, you go through the that city almost. That city, wherever that place is, I can't remember the zone name. But it's a city with a lot of really high-powered enemies and drops and stuff like that. Then leading the Wing Fortress Zone, where you're grabbing onto the plane, the ship, and going up in the air. Followed then by going to space, fighting Metal Sonic. Then fighting the gigantic Metal Robotnik. That is a fucking step up.
And isn't that where you can also first experience Super Sonic 2?
Super Sonic was introduced in Sonic 2. Not only that, Sonic 2 also introduced something that everyone forgets did not exist in Sonic 1. Spin Dash. You could not spin dash in Sonic 1. Something that is now a staple of Sonic the Hedgehog was introduced in Sonic 2.
Yeah, I forgot that shit,
So it literally almost everything was a massive freaking improvement in Sonic 2,
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, overall, obviously, I played a lot of Sonic games.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Sonic Adventure was obviously up there too. You know, it was a really good introduction.
Hasn't aged well. Loved it.
Yes.
No, I agree with you. Loved it at the time because Sonic 3D.
Yes.
But my God, has that game not aged well?
No. I mean, obviously, again, that's a game I put a lot of time into, but I also put a lot of time into Sonic Spinball.
Yeah. Oh God, Sonic Spinball. Yeah.
Spinball game. Yeah, I said very, very difficult. But again, I always found myself always playing it and enjoyable. But yeah, I mean, Sonic 2, just the music. I mean, even little side things like the 2-player mode. The amount of times we put into playing that, you know, the silly little. The race from one end, if you die, you go all the way back to the beginning. You're going to hit a checkpoint or kicked in the ring and stuff like that. Obviously, they added bonus. Obviously, Tails is in it too.
Yep.
I think
Added bonus.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. Remember, you can play 2-player mode. You can both go through the game together. And obviously, Tails can never die. So.
Could you actually? I don't know if you could do that. I can't remember. I don't think you could do that. I think it was just the competitive mode that existed, which was a cool inclusion. Not necessary in the slightest, and it was only a handful of levels. But I always remember you're absolutely right. Quite enjoying a lot of it. That being said, right, there are, like, for example, like when you think of an iconic Sonic the Hedgehog moment that exists in pop culture, it's not Sonic 2, is it? Sonic 1, Green Hill Zone, the music, the introduction, it is simply that. It really, really is. Sonic the Hedgehog, the original, has the best casino level of all the Sonic games ever done. Now, admittedly, we're not even touching upon Sonic 3 or Sonic and Knuckles here, but to be fair, I think there's a good reason for that. Because I think those games are far inferior to either Sonic 1 or Sonic 2. Not that they're bad games, they're really not. I love the element of Sonic 3, of the shields that did different powers. I love the inclusion of Knuckles, even if it made Sonic and Knuckles quite easy because of his ability to climb. But when I think of sort of memorability of all that, I don't go to Sonic 3 or Sonic and Knuckles. And I certainly don't go to Sonic 4. And Sonic 4 was decent, but it's quite modern and it felt like they tried a little bit too hard. Yeah,
I mean, my list has always been 2, 1, 3, then Spinball, then Sonic and Knuckles. That's been literally my top 5.
You don't include any of the modern games?
No, because
so I would go Sonic 2, Sonic 1, Sonic Generations, because that was excellent. Sonic Adventure. Then maybe Sonic 3.
Yeah, see,
because I do have a lot of love for Sonic Adventure.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I played that a lot on the Dreamcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Try to get all the collectibles. Yeah, all of them, including doing stupid Big the Cat levels.
Sonic Adventure 2, I didn't enjoy as much. It was pretty much the exact same game, but just
here's the thing. I think Sonic Adventure 2 improved on a lot of the problems Sonic Adventure 1 had, but I think by that point we had moved on.
Yes.
I think we moved on to PlayStation 2.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it was quite late in the Dreamcast life, I want to say.
I think Sonic Adventure it introduced a lot of different characters. You did the teams, didn't you? You had obviously like Sonic and Knuckles.
Well, it introduced all those fucking...
The big fat rabbit thing and all that, you know.
It introduced all those playable characters. Because in Sonic Adventure... everybody had their own plot line, but a lot of it was really, really light and tight. And the idea was they would all cross over each other in some regard. But like Big the Cat, all he was doing was going fishing to try and catch a frog.
Yeah.
The machine, the robot, like his abilities made it was too easy to play as. Amy
and Bean.
Amy, when you just go around looking for something, I remember you just going around looking for something. It was all really messy. However, we have to speak in praise of Sonic Adventure of one thing that it does better than all the best. The best villain. The most decent, complex, and epic villain it had. Chaos.
Yeah, Chaos, yeah.
Throughout it, obviously depending on which story you play and deal with it in different ways, but eventually you should, in theory, get to the point where you fight the huge Chaos, the one that's the City Destroyer, as Super Sonic.
Yeah.
That was epic, man.
It was
huge.
It was a good battle, yeah.
It really, really was. But it doesn't change the love for Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
No.
So, let's talk about some of the reasons why we consider it the best. So, we touched upon them, but you touched upon one that I think is super important. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 has the best soundtrack of any Sonic the Hedgehog game to date. So, when I think of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I think of stuff like Oil Ocean Zone.
Yeah.
That groovy ass music. Mystic Cave Zone with that down. I think of Wing Fortress Zone.
Yep.
That pounding boom, so fucking epic. Tying to the fact that you like Sonic cling to this ship. You're in the air. You're flying. Like that ship is huge.
Yeah, it's a massive ship.
It feels great. To that level, we can't remember the zone, we can't remember the name, the one in the city. It's quite upbeat. Dun, 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 like that, you know? To the music that plays at the end of Robotnik, their final battle with Robotnik, the giant robot. It is a banging fucking soundtrack. It really is.
And I mean, all the zones overall, you know, I mean, Casino Zone, one of my favourite areas. Really, really cool, you know.
There's a variety in the zones, which did exist in Sonic 1, but there's more here.
Yes.
Now, of course, as well, if you play Sonic the Hedgehog 2 these days, say you play it on the remastered mobile version, guess what you get now? You now get the zone that was removed from the... Now, if you know this story, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was rushed. Heavily rushed because they were trying to capitalise on success. They wanted it out quite quickly. Because of that, they cut content out. Content, though, that existed because a magazine in pre-release of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 had included screenshots of an upcoming zones for Sonic 2, which include a zone that did not end up in the last game.
I heard that,
It then got found in the code. However, it was badly broken. You couldn't really play it, but there's videos out there of that zone all jagged, all messed up. That's now back in the game. That is now back in the game. Hidden Palace Zone. It's Hidden Palace Zone. With a new boss fight as well. So that's super cool. So if you haven't played Sonic 2 in a while, you get to go back to it and experience a new thing in it.
Yeah.
Which in itself is really fucking cool. Which just adds more longevity to it. But I'm probably forgetting some of the zones that we haven't touched upon, like the enjoyment. What's the one? Oh my god, what's the one that's like high in the mountains with fire, and a lot of it is the ground shaking and collapsing above and underneath you? What is that one?
I know what it is.
Oh, that's such a good zone as well. That's a really clever one. Later in the game, Jesus, Hilltop Zone? Is it Hilltop Zone?
Hilltop Zone, yeah.
Hilltop Zone.
Yeah.
See, it does come back to us because we're doing it completely unprompted.
You've on lifts and elevators.
That's right, yeah, and it drop down elements like that. Really, really well done. But it's not perfect. No. Right, here's the thing. Do you prefer the mini game to get the Emerald in Sonic 2 compared to, say, any of the Sonic games?
Right,
so Sonic 3 has the weird ball one.
That was annoying. That was so frustrating.
Sonic 1 has the spinning maze.
God, that's so. I remember playing it recently actually and trying to get all the gems. Fucking maze.
The gem? Oh, you mean Chaos Emeralds?
The Emeralds, yeah.
Yeah.
God that maze. The amount of times I used to get to the end and then I hit the red zones and get kicked out. But obviously the second one is one where you got to collect the rings, isn't it?
The rings in the tube.
I think the second one was 10 times. It was the easiest one of the lot because that was quite easy. But well, some of them obviously the earlier stages. Obviously, as you get on, you got obviously get more rings.
Oh yeah, it obviously gets harder, to get all the emeralds, yeah.
But I just remember a lot. As a kid, I never used to, but I remember as an adult raging because of fucking Tails.
That's it.
Yeah, Tails takes the rings and he's always getting goddamn hit.
It's that you've just hit the reason why I will say, and I always come back to, I enjoy Sonic 1's maze style thing more than Sonic 2 is because simply put, Tails.
Yes.
Fucking Tails. You ended up having to train yourself to jump a second because Tails jumps 1 second after you. Yeah. So if you jump at the last minute to avoid a bomb, Tails gets hit by the bombs and drops your rings. The ones that he collects, because you can try your hardest to try and avoid Tails, because remember, he stands behind you. And even if you jump and he gets in front, he'll always jump behind you. But when the rings are moving, he always ends up collecting some, and it goes towards your grand total.
Yes.
But he will lose them non-fucking stop.
And how many of you in Chemical Zone, because I know I did in Chemical Zone, like when that spider comes down and grabs you.
Oh, let him go. Off he goes.
How many stood there to just watch Tails get blown up?
Oh yeah, Tails will spend the entire
dying,
constantly, absolutely falling down holes, dying and stuff like that. It is what it is. Yeah. I prefer Sonic 1's one, right, for a different reason now. I think it's cooler.
It's cool, yeah.
It's trippy, it's weird, it's got cool music, it's just a bit odd. It feels really odd, but also feels like a kind of like different, like where Chaos Emerald might exist, like it exists in a different dimension. Yeah. With Sonic 2 is just like, why is it in a racetrack?
Yeah.
That's weird to me. Like in the concept of, I know it's a weird thing to get stuck on. And I don't dislike the Sonic 2 thing. I dislike Sonic 3's one. Yeah. I dislike that heavily. I just don't even find that fun. I find it frustrating. I don't think I've ever got every Chaos Emerald in Sonic 3 or Sonic and Knuckles.
I can't think off the top of my head, but I know the first two, 100%, I've done everything in it.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, for sure, yeah. Because I think, because you can't be Super Sonic in Sonic 1, but you do get a slightly different ending.
Yes.
And by slightly, I mean literally, he jumps in the air instead of. I think he does a different position towards the screen.
Yeah.
And this time you get the Chaos Emeralds pop up in that element. But obviously he will transform into Super Sonic. Don't get me wrong. The problem in Sonic 2 is how late you might get all the emeralds to transform in Super Sonic.
Yeah.
And I always remember being Super Sonic in Wing Fortress Zone.
Yes.
And it's pointless. It's pointless.
Yeah.
Because his speed and move just means you'll die.
Yep.
And you'll lose it immediately, and that's it. And the problem is you can't take it in with you
Nope.
to battle Metal Sonic. You can't do that. So you kind of just have to experience it once or twice. Maybe if you're really... I mean, you can get it earlier, but you're probably going to have to be really good at it.
Yes.
But also spend more time in the level, finding enough rings to go through multiple portals to get it.
Because there's only like 8 gems in it, or 8 Chaos Emeralds, and I think like
7.
Is it 7?
7, yeah,
so
7.
So
Yeah.
like, obviously, you can get like potentially 2.
Two, because
Exactly,
potentially,
Potentially, yeah.
depending on the amount of rings. Because in Sonic 1, the idea was you would get past to the checkpoint,
Yes.
not checkpoint, the flag at the end with more than 50 rings,
yeah.
and then you'd have the giant ring and jump into it. In Sonic 2, they changed that, and rightfully, much better.
Yes.
Because remember in Sonic 1, if you race towards the ending, you only get, after you pass the flag, you only get like 2 or 3 seconds, maybe 4 or 5, to come back and jump into the ring before the computer takes over and moves you over to the zone.
Yes.
And this, what they did was 50 rings, activate a checkpoint, and the stars appear above it, and you jump into it. That element was smarter, I think.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Also, Sonic 2 introduced this weird thing. Now, points obviously in these games were only really what mattered back then. But remember Sonic 2 introduced the idea that if you ran past the flag quick enough, you could knock it into the air and then bounce it off over and over again to get more points.
Off your head,
Yeah, pointless, really. But I certainly remember every time making sure I did it, right?
Yep.
Like, boom, boom, until it hit the ground.
Back in the days when there was no achievement, that should have been an achievement. 20 gamer score for keeping up in the air.
Don't give it. I mean, they've obviously most recently they've re-released all the remastered Sonics in a package. Now I haven't bothered with it purely because I find the idea of re-releasing them again in a package and they're asking us for money hilarious when they were mobile phone in quality and stuff like that. Like, good God, Sega, good bloody God. Maybe when it's super cheap, I might pick it up because of the achievements.
They're milking it.
Milking it, of course, absolutely. But I might do it because of the achievements. Because I like the idea of, let's play these Sonic games with achievements. Right? Do you know what I mean? Like, I presume hopefully they're decent and varied achievements. Like, get all Chaos Emeralds, get this whatever and stuff like that, and not just grindy shit.
I presume it'll be the obvious, like, complete each level, beat the boss, get all the gems, or Chaos Emeralds.
Probably, yeah. Either way, it could be fun, but I don't want to pay the money Sega are. I have bought enough Sonic games, and these Sonic games over the years to not have to buy them again, Sega. Stop doing that.
Just don't do so like I told you like Final Fantasy 9 has done, like the 1000 jump skip ropes. So they'll probably do don't let Tails die.
Well, we'll talk. Final Fantasy will be a big question individually for the future. Let's not get stuck. But yeah, the answer is this. It really is a straightforward, and I think we've explained it. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 has been the bar setter for decades now.
Yeah, still is.
And it still is. And don't get me wrong, I have a lot of love for Sonic Generations, Sonic Adventure, as being great games in their own right. But for me, if you say, it's like there's no question. It immediately, in fact, we counted down from 3. I asked my wife earlier on what is the best Sonic game in my opinion, and she knew I was going to say Sonic 2. So I mean, like, that's how iconic it is. It really, really is. I think I'm trying to remember, do I have a Sonic tattoo on me in my video game arm? I'm sure I probably do, but I bet it's related to Sonic 2 if I do have anything at all.
Just the fact that even now, you know, it's like 30 years later or whatever, or 20 years later, I could still turn it on right now and still play the entire game through.
I love it and enjoy it.
Exactly,
enjoy it. Also, to add to that as well, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie, came out this year. Obviously, had to do the same thing, bigger, bolder, better. So what did it do? Although it took from Sonic 3 as well, but it heavily featured Sonic 2 by introducing Tails. And what is the end of that film? The giant Robotnik. That is the iconic stuff. That is what we think of when we come to Sonic the Hedgehog, the stuff from Sonic 2. Sorry, I forget. What does it also end on? What's the cliffhanger? The introduction of Metal Sonic, which of course he made his appearance in Sonic 2. It is the best Sonic game. Do you agree with us? You got any other thoughts on it? You got an argument for what's a bad Sonic game that someone might argue with us over?
Sonic
2006.
Yeah, 2006.
You're lying if you say that. You're lying
Sonic 3D.
outright. Sonic 3D.
The first one in 3D was like.
Is that the one I was talking about earlier on? Flicky's
Oh,
Island.
yeah,
Flicky's
yeah,
Island.
yeah,
Sonic
I
3D.
yeah.
Flicky's
Yeah,
Island.
there you go.
That's it. The isometric one. That's what it was.
Terrible one.
And it comes at the end of it. Yeah, that one. That was. I remember enjoying that. Because it was different.
I enjoyed it because it's different, but obviously when it first came out, so nowadays you look at it like, my god, that's terrible.
Oh, of course it was. Yeah, we'll also throw in, because we haven't touched upon it, but although we both were like super cool when Sonic R came out, that game is terrible.
Yes.
That is a terrible racing game that is near impossible to control. Don't waste your time. And Sonic Jam, the other Sega Saturn one, just the same games re-released, and the little 3D Sonic thing, while all that's cool, go back and look at it now. Fucking weird.
Yes.
Sonic looks weird. Weirder than he looked in the original trailer for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Oh, yeah.
Weirder than that.
Yes.
But yeah, basically, you got any thoughts, you know what to do. Let us know in the comments.
Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?